Michael Stephen Steele is an American politician and MSNBC political analyst as of May 2011. Steele served as the first African-American chairperson of the Republican National Committee from January 2009 until January 2011. From 2003 to 2007, he was the 7th Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, the first African-American elected to statewide office in Maryland. During his time as Lieutenant Governor, he chaired the Minority Business Enterprise Task Force, actively promoting an expansion of affirmative action in the corporate world. In 2006, Steele made an unsuccessful run for the U.S. Senate, losing to Democrat Ben Cardin. He then served as chairman of GOPAC, the political training organization of the Republican Party, was a political commentator for Fox News and a partner at the law firm of LaBeouf, Lamb, Green and Amp McRae LLP before making his bid for RNC chairman. He co-founded the Republican Leadership Council, a fiscally conservative and socially inclusive political action committee, in 1993. On December 13, 2010, he announced his intentions to seek a second term as Republican National Committee chair. On January 14, 2011, after 4 rounds of voting, Steele dropped out of the race and endorsed Maria Chino. Reince Priebus went on to win the election to succeed Steele. He commenced as a columnist for online magazine The Root in May 2011. Early life. Steele was born on October 19, 1958, at Andrews Air Force Base in Prince George's County, Maryland, and was adopted as an infant by William and Mabel Steele. William died in 1962. Mabel, who had been born into a sharecropping family in South Carolina, worked for minimum wage as a laundress to raise her children. After Michael's father died, she ignored her friends' appeals to apply for public assistance, later telling Michael, "I didn't want the government raising my children." She later married John Turner, a truck driver. Michael and his sister, Monica Turner, were raised in the Petworth neighborhood of Northwest Washington, D.C., which Steele has described as a small, stable and racially integrated community that insulated him from some of the problems elsewhere in the city. Steele's sister later married and divorced former heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson. Steele attended Archbishop Carroll Roman Catholic High School in Washington, D.C., participating in the Glee Club, the National Honor Society and many of the school's drama productions. During his senior year, he was elected Student Council President. In 1977, Steele enrolled at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, where he received a bachelor's degree in international studies. Steele then spent 3 years preparing for the Catholic priesthood at the Augustinian Friars Seminary at Villanova University, teaching high school classes in world history and economics for 1 year at in Malvern Preparatory School in Malvern, Pennsylvania. He left the seminary prior to ordination. He then enrolled at the Georgetown University Law Center, attending classes at night and receiving his Juris Doctor in 1991. He failed the Maryland bar exam, but then passed the Pennsylvania bar exam. Steele was employed as a corporate securities associate at the Washington, D.C. office of Cleary, Gottlieb, Steen and Amp, Hamilton. From 1991 to 1997, he specialized in financial investments for Wall Street underwriters, working at Cleary's Tokyo, Japan, office on major product liability litigation and at its London office on corporate matters. He left the law firm and founded the Steele Group, a business and legal consulting firm. Political development. After joining the Republican Party, he became chairman of the Prince George's County Republican Central Committee. He was a founding member of the centrist, fiscally conservative and socially inclusive Republican Leadership Council in 1993 but left in 2008 citing disagreements over endorsing primary candidates. In 1995, the Maryland Republican Party selected him as the Republican Man of the Year. He worked on several political campaigns, was an alternate delegate to the 1996 Republican National Convention and a delegate to the 2000 Republican National Convention. In December 2000, he was elected chairman of the Maryland Republican Party, becoming the first African American ever to be elected chairman of any state Republican Party. Lieutenant Governor of Maryland. In 2002, Robert Ehrlich, who was running for Maryland governor, selected Steele as his running mate for lieutenant governor. The campaign was waged against Democrat Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, who was running for governor, and Charles R. Larson, who was running for lieutenant governor. In the September primary election, Ehrlich and Steele had no serious opposition. In the November 2002 general election, the Republican Ehrlich-Steele ticket won 51% to 48%, even though Maryland traditionally votes Democratic and had not elected a Republican governor in almost 40 years. The Townsend-Larson campaign had been tainted by outgoing Democratic Governor Paris Glendoning's marital problems and backlash due to his strict enforcement of environmental regulations. Steele's most prominent efforts for the Ehrlich administration were reforming the state's Minority Business Enterprise Program and chairing the Governor's Commission on Quality Education in Maryland. Steele garnered criticism for his failure to oppose Ehrlich's reinstitution of the death penalty. Despite claims of racial inequities in the use of the death penalty, Steele's own religious beliefs and his prior anti-death penalty pronouncements. In 2005, Steele was named an Aspen Institute Rodel Fellow in Public Leadership and was awarded the Bethune-du-Bois Institute Award for his continuing efforts to improve the quality education in Maryland. At the 2004 Republican National Convention, Steele gave the Republican counterpoint to Barack Obama's 2004 Democratic National Convention keynote address. It was Steele's first major national exposure. In April 2005, President Bush chose him to be a member of the U.S. delegation at the investiture of Pope Benedict XVI in Vatican City. 2006 campaign for U.S. Senate, when Paul Sarbanes, Maryland's longest-serving United States Senator, announced in March 2005 that he would not be a candidate for re-election in 2006. Top state and national Republican officials began pressing Steele to become the party's nominee for the seat. In April 2005, the Baltimore Sun announced the results of a poll it conducted, stating that Steele would run statistically neck-and-neck against either former NAACP head Kwesi Mfume or Wahida Benjamin L. Cardin of Baltimore County. Steele formally announced his candidacy for the U.S. Senate on October 25, 2005. Steele won the Republican nomination after facing little opposition in the primary. His opponents were Democrat Ben Cardin and Independent Kevin Zis. The three candidates participated in 3 debates. Cardin primarily attacked Steele over his close relations with President Bush. Steele focused on low taxes, less government spending, free markets and national security. Steele lost the general election to Cardin on November 7, 2006, 44% to Cardin's 55%. Steele's former campaign finance chairman later alleged improprieties in Steele's handling of campaign funds, which Steele denied. after the Senate race. One day after Steele conceded defeat in the Senate election, Chris Cillizza of The Washington Post reported that Steele was hoping to succeed Ken Mehlman as the chairman of the Republican National Committee. Senator Mel Martinez of Florida, who had the endorsement of President George W. Bush, got the position. In February 2007, Steele became chairman of GOPAC, a political action committee that helps fund state and local Republican campaigns around the country and is responsible for training future Republican candidates. He succeeded former U.S. Congressman J.C. Watts, a fellow black Republican. In April 2007, Steele joined the international law firm of Dewey and Amp LaBeouf as a partner in the firm's Washington, D.C. office. At a speech given at the Media Research Center's 2007 Dishonors Awards Gala, Steele said, "Steele is considered a possible candidate for governor of Maryland in the future," and said he was intrigued by the idea for 2010. He said that he would not run for president in 2012. Steele appeared several times on HBO's political show Real Time with Bill Maher, and was on Comedy Central's talk show The Colbert Report on January 23, 2007. He also hosted a PBS Republican primary debate in Baltimore, Maryland on September 27, 2007. He coined the phrase "drill baby drill" during the 2008 Republican National Convention in Minnesota, where he promoted offshore drilling as an alternative to dependency on foreign oil. RNC Chairman, 2009 election. On November 24, 2008, Steele launched his campaign for the RNC chairmanship with the launching of his website. On January 30, 2009, Steele won the chairmanship of the RNC in the sixth round, with 91 votes to Dawson's 77. Steele, the Republican Party's first African-American chief, was selected in the aftermath of President Obama's election, when many in the GOP saw him as a charismatic counter to the first black president. Source: CQ Politics and poll pundit. Candidate won round of voting. Candidate withdrew. Candidate won RNC chairmanship. Leadership dispute with Rush Limbaugh. On March 1, 2009, in response to a question on CBS's Face the Nation as to who spoke for the Republican Party, President Obama's chief of staff Rahm Emanuel said it was Rush Limbaugh because, whenever a Republican criticizes, they have to run back and apologize to him and say they were misunderstood. He is the voice and the intellectual force and energy behind the Republican Party, and he has been upfront about what he views, and hasn't stepped back from that, which is he hopes for failure. He said it, and I compliment him for his honesty, but that's the philosophy that is enunciated by Rush Limbaugh. In remarks said by the CNN program D.L. Hewley Breaks the News on March 1, 2009, Steele said he, rather than Limbaugh, bullshit the de facto leader of the Republican Party. Rush Limbaugh is an entertainer. Rush Limbaugh's whole thing is entertainment. Yes, it is incendiary. Yes, it is ugly. On March 2, 2009, Limbaugh said on his radio show that Steele is not fit to lead the Republican Party, asking of him, "Why do you claim to lead the Republican Party when you seem obsessed with seeing to it President Obama succeeds?" Quote, after the show, Steele called Limbaugh to apologize, saying, "I have enormous respect for Rush Limbaugh. I was maybe a little bit inarticulate. There was no attempt on my part to diminish his voice or his leadership. I went back at the tape and I realized words that I said weren't what I was thinking. It was one of those things where I was saying one thing, and it came out differently. What I was trying to say was a lot of people want to make Rush the scapegoat, the bogeyman, and he's not." Steele later issued another statement to say that Limbaugh is a national conservative leader, and in no way do I want to diminish his voice. I truly apologize. Fire Pelosi bus tour. In the fall of 2010, Steele launched the Fire Pelosi bus tour, with the focus of taking over the United States House of Representatives, and thus firing Speaker Pelosi from her position as Speaker of the House of Representatives. The tour began on September 15 and lasted 6 weeks, visiting 48 states in the continental U.S., with stops in more than 100 cities while covering 14,000 miles. The tour's purpose was to encourage votes for Republicans in districts across the nation. The stops in individual districts gave Steele, known for his bomb-throwing speaking style, an opportunity to fire up local GOP activists. During the tour, Steele urged party unity, as the Republicans attempted to take over the House of Representatives and end Representative Pelosi's term as Speaker of the House. The RNC broke fundraising records and Republicans won 63 House seats, the biggest pickup since 1938, thus giving Republicans back control of the House. The 2010 midterm elections were overall successful for Steele and the Republicans, as they also won 6 Senate seats, 7 governorships and the greatest share of state legislative seats since 1928. 2011 election. In December 2010, Steele declared that he would run for re-election as RNC chair. The 2011 Republican National Committee chairmanship election was held on January 14, 2011, to determine the next chairman of the RNC, who would serve a 2-year term ending in 2013 and would lead the party through the 2012 general elections. Steele withdrew from the chairperson race after the 4th ballot, urging his supporters to vote for Maria Chino. After 7 rounds of balloting, Reince Priebus was elected chairman over incumbent chair Steele, Saula Newsies, Ann Wagner and Maria Chino. Candidate won majority of votes in the round. Candidate secured a plurality of votes in the round. Candidate withdrew after the chairmanship. After his loss in the chairmanship election, Steele was hired by MSNBC to be a regular political analyst as of May 2011. He also was hired to be a columnist for the online magazine The Root, an African-American news and commentary site owned by the Washington Post Company. On CSPAN's Washington Journal on the Sunday after the 2012 Obama re-election victory, Steele expressed some interest in running for RNC chairman again. Steele emphasized the need to make conservative minorities feel comfortable and welcome in a party that offered them opportunities to launch political careers in counties and state houses. Political positions. Right Now. Steele's book, Right Now, a 12-step program for defeating the Obama agenda, was released on January 4, 2010. It was published by Regnery Publishing, ISBN 978-1-596981089. The Associated Press reported that Steele focuses much of the book on familiar GOP denunciations of President Barack Obama's overall policies, the $787 billion stimulus bill, liberal views on man-made global warming and other issues. To regain the public confidence, Steele says the GOP should, among other things, expose the reign of error inherent in liberal policies, contrast conservative and liberal principles, and highlight the damage caused by Obama's policies while explaining conservative solutions.